Okay, Monday Night Football at our place, Halloween night. It'll be an exciting atmosphere. I know our guys are excited for it. It's a long week, so you got to really hone in on your preparation to get ready for Monday night. But I know the guys are going to be excited. It's a good football team, right? In the Super Bowl last season, Coach Taylor does an outstanding job with their team, with their offense. He and Brian Callahan do a nice job. As you know, with that offense, it's high-powered. They're throwing the ball around the yard, especially in this last game, and doing a nice job. And they have weapons really on the outside, on the inside, a good running back, a very good quarterback that you guys know. Defensively, I think they do a really, really nice job. Again, a sound scheme. They've been together for a while. They have a bunch of veterans back there, so you see them working together. They're good in the rush attack up front with some really, really good rushers. They're good in the back end. So it's a balanced defense. And then special teams. Coach Simmons does a really nice job. They're well coached. They've got good players. They play with great effort. So we really do have to play a complete football game. You got to play a 60-minute football game when you're going up against this team. With that, I'll take any questions.
What's the latest with Denzel?
No update.
Protocol.
Yes.
Kevin, is there a particular aspect that he's struggling with more than others? I don't know what you're at liberty to say.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm able to say.
David can't go. How much more does that put on Harrison's plate, and what other options do you have, considering how much tight end, how important the tight end is in your offense?
Yeah, I think that's part of our challenge each week, Chris, is who do you have available to you, and then put a game plan together. So there's, with Farrow, his availability is unknown at this point with his concussion. So obviously Harry was somebody that has played a ton of football for us, had played really good football, run game, pass game, so we're excited about him getting a little bit more of an opportunity. And then we have different ways that we can run our offense, but it's really incumbent upon us as a staff to put together a plan with the guys that are available to you.
You guys run the ball out of 3 wides, and you use that a good amount, but the fact that you normally do use 2 and 3 tight ends so much, how significant a change to the game plan is it?
Yeah, I mean, week to week, you really do have to pivot based on injury sometimes, based on scheme sometimes. So we've been in a good amount of different personnel groupings, but you're right. Without David, he's been, important to what we do, run game, pass game. But and he's a great player. But if he doesn't make it, we got to, next man up and find a way to, run our offense.
Burrow's gotten really hot these last couple of games, throwing 6 touchdowns. Just what makes that pass game so prolific? They use the deep ball so effectively as well.
Yeah, well, it's a combination of good scheme and good players, I think is the simple answer. Burrow's playing at a high level. He's a young player that seems to get better week to week. Dynamic players, major rack from those players on the perimeter, a really good running back. So, again, it's a balanced attack, and they do have the ability to, when you play single safety, to throw go balls. And you're going up against it's a tough matchup. So I think there are certain things that you can do as a defense, but you're just trying to slow that pass attack down.
The trade deadline's coming up, and not from you guys, but Grady's name has come up and Kareem Hunt. Is that kind of a distraction, or how do you foresee anything happening?
Yeah, I think that's the time of year you're in. It's things get put out on social media, I'm sure, but we don't pay much attention to it.
On Chase Winovich or Jesse James, are they on the horizon?
No update on either of those guys.
Jerome Ford, he's still in the IR, obviously.
Right, he's progressing, Tony. I don't think we'll get him back this week, but he's progressing. Should see him after the bye.
Practice today. Do you expect him to be out there tomorrow?
I think we'll see. I think that's one. I just got to take that one day to day.
Protocol is there was changes to them going into protocols and added steps to prevent that, but is it harder to get them out by any, or is it all the same?
I just think that each one is so different, and you got to treat each player differently, treat each injury, in this case a concussion, in its own way. So I don't know that it's different per se, but we'll always follow every rule that there is. Just follow the protocol, and and you can't rush those things.
I know the last two games, I think Kareem's targets, his carries have gone down. I mean, has there been a reason for that, or just the situation
No.
of the game?
Yeah, no reason. Expect him to help us, contribute this game. But sometimes you get unlucky a little bit. He got unlucky with some really bad runs, quite honestly. But I wouldn't read too much into that.
Zell's pick six was, such a huge point in the game. It seems like, it set the tone for the whole game.
Right.
Is that just an example of, what a Denzel brings and how much you're going to be trying to replace with him if you can't play?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that was a game-changing play, and those are game-changing plays when you can get your hands on the ball and flip the field or score. That's obviously a boon to your team. But I think we, should Denzel not make it, I think we got guys that can similarly make plays, and that's ultimately what it's about.
Do you need to make any changes in your punt coverage? I mean, a 42-yard run return last week, and I think it was a 16-yard return the week before. Do you need to make any changes there?
I think we need to, certainly in those plays, you need to change how we covered those plays. We didn't cover them great. So you correct them. That's what we do. You point it out, you correct it, and you make sure it doesn't happen again. But I think when you watch those plays, we just got to make sure that we're in position that we need to be in.
Protecting Joe Burrow this year?
Yeah, I mean, 4 new guys along the offensive line. He's getting the ball out quickly, and he's doing a nice job. I think so much of that is the line. They're doing a good job. It's also him understanding protections and when he needs to get rid of it, and ultimately with the receivers they have, he wants to get in their hands quickly at times. And then, he will take his shots down the field. So I think it's a combination of the quarterback and the line.
3 wides that they do in the shotgun, the amount that he's in the shotgun, how much of a change is that from, whatever, a normal defensive week, I guess?
Yeah, I think week to week, you really do hone in on the attack that you're seeing that week, and it changes so much. So for them, it is heavy 11, it is shotgun, but nothing says that they can't get under center versus us. So being prepared for all the things they can do. But, we've, having gone against Burrow and this offense the last few years, I think it's really, that game of they can try this, we can counter with this. So kind of playing the game, see where they want to go come Monday night. But certainly it's been a lot of that shotgun three wides and wide open.
Before you pivot to the next game plan, how much time do you spend going back and looking at situationally what kind of plays you called in the previous game?
Versus them or last week?
So last week. So in other words, when you went back and looked at the Baltimore game,
Right.
how much time do you spend on that?
Quite a bit, because I think they're spending time on it. So you want to know what they're seeing, and you want to it's so important to know yourself, and from a self-scout perspective, what formations mean what down and distance means what personnel means what, because you ultimately want to know what they know. So that is a big part of it.
Players, but as a coach, what's the excitement to be on Monday Night Football?
Yeah, I mean, it's a if you're a fan of this league and like myself and growing up, that was a very big deal when your team was on Monday Night Football. On the East Coast, it wasn't good because you had to go to bed early. But it's knowing our fans and knowing how they support this team, and it being Monday night and it being Halloween, I think that's the fun part of this business for us, where we get to go into our place on the lake with a raucous crowd.
Or ask your dad to stay up late, or a specific game or anything like that?
No, I just not specifics, but you just knew when you heard that intro, and it was your team versus, it was usually the Cowboys. It was usually Eagles Cowboys. Those were some fun memories for me.
Like to not look too far ahead, but the reality is, there's 4 more games with Jacoby before Deshaun can return to the football field. How would you evaluate what he's done to this point on the field, but also off the field? Because it's been a whirlwind, and he just seems like the leadership, just total class act of how he's handled everything to this point.
Yeah, I don't want to evaluate any of the guys' play. At this point, I think that's for a different time, but I'm happy to speak to Jacoby, the person. He's been invaluable to me, invaluable to this team, just from a leadership standpoint, how he handles himself around the building, the things that he does to push his teammates. I think is what great leaders do, and particularly at that quarterback position, just knowing how much he puts into it on a day-to-day basis, hour to hour, the amount of text messages that are flying between him and his receivers and the tight ends, and watching tape at night and those type of things, I just think it's really priceless when you're talking about leadership from that position.
Last week we spent a lot of time asking you about the connection that Lamar and Mark Andrews had. This week obviously it's Burrow and Chase. They're obviously very different players, but are there commonalities you can take over when there's a quarterback who has that certain X factor connection with the target?
Yeah, I mean, it's a connection with multiple targets. I think that's what makes them dangerous is his connection with Chase, with Boyd, with Higgins down the field. I mean, they have a lot of reps together. I think they know where they want to put certain guys for certain routes, just like every team does, because there's a comfort level from the receiver to the quarterback position. So I think anytime you're playing a team that has a lot of banked reps together, it does become dangerous.
You guys go one game at a time, but a lot of people see this as the real pivot point of the season, right? It's another division game. It's before the bye, midway, all that kind of stuff. Is that at all something for you guys that this is a real pivotal game?
It's the Bengals at home. It's Monday night. It's a division opponent. We do put the blinders on, and I think it's just important. You don't look ahead. You can't look behind. We got a great opportunity against a really good football team. That's all we could ask for.
You mentioned Jacoby a couple times. Is it unlikely he can make it Monday night?
He said he's day-to-day, right? I'll stick with that. Yeah, we're all day-to-day.
It's better than week to week. It's week to week on Monday.
He's day-to-day.